I was wrong in doing what I did.
No! Are you listening?
Sean here, and this is going to get dark, real dark. Not like Steven Seagal, real dark, but it's dark. I looked at real stories dealing with real people, and then I looked at how Lauren wanted to traffic Kayla across state lines, and looked at Lauren in general, and just the scenarios that popped up in my head that looked realistic. It would be a nightmare. The first thing we have to look at is how Lauren is a user. How he loves and then loathes. How he moves on when he just can't handle a situation anymore. That's what people do, manipulators do. Bipolar causes people to lose concentration, lose focus, and they become disinterested in things. They're all about one thing for a long time, or a short time. I guess I should just say whatever time they want to be. And then they move on, and it's like that thing never existed. They get really passionate about one thing, and then they just lose it. Lauren, we know, is desperate. We know, at least I think, he's a proper virgin. Maybe he did some things in the past, but sex isn't one of them. So I'm just going to warn you, it's about to get dark. And I don't want to trigger anybody. There are lots of victims out there. But these are things I think could have happened had Kayla made it to wherever she was going, and later to Cornville, Maine. When you are dealing with these pedos, these human traffickers, they want to go where the least amount of eyes are on them, and they want to go where things are familiar, where they know there are places they can move people, where they can get whatever they wanted it is from whatever child or woman they've abducted, or at least convinced to put themselves in this bad situation. They see these women, these girls, as commodities. They see them as a means to an end. Promise marriage, promise love, come to the land of the big PX, as they used to say in the Marine Corps, when some of the Japanese women who lived in Cornville, they were prostitutes that you had to buy drinks or buy a massage from, which weren't usually expensive. It was pretty scary, and no one cracked down on it. No one said, hey, you Marines can't go out there and do this. It was just kind of accepted. But they saw these women, thank God. I had a girlfriend on the Air Force base, I had a girlfriend on the Army base, I had a girlfriend on the Marine Corps base, usually two at the same time, like a complete asshole. But the girls knew, and they had other boyfriends, but you're trapped over in Japan on an island. So, yeah, moving on. People just treated them as a means to an end, as a masturbatory sleeve, a human masturbatory sleeve. Lauren didn't want Kayla for love. He didn't want Kayla to get married. He wanted Kayla to satisfy his sexual needs. I'm going to try to keep it as lighthearted as possible. But let's say Kayla did get in his car, and she did go to Nashville. I think if it lasted more than a couple days, in my opinion, they're headed to Cornville. They're headed to a place that Lauren knows, that Lauren has somebody there that can house them both. I have no idea if you can hear the icy rain. It's half snow, half rain. There's snow all over the ground. I'm going pretty slow. It's probably slick as hell. People have pulled over to the side of the road. But then again, in Kentucky, if it starts to rain, people just kind of freak out and they treat it like it's a snowstorm. So I'm driving really slow. But we're going to talk about Lauren gets to Nashville and he decides I'm going to go to Cornville. Let's pretend he had that trailer to go to. The trailer was his. He had called in advance to prepare it. I'm coming back to Cornville. Now he had run because he had stolen money. But he would definitely go back there if he thought there was a chance that Kayla would be his prisoner. So he goes back to Cornville, Maine, where people know him. There's 1,100 people now, less back then. There are no jobs. People probably wanted to get on what's called the draw here in Kentucky, which is Social Security, disability, something where the government pays you, where you manage to work the system and now you don't have to go get a job. You can smoke weed all day, do drugs. You can accept the fact that you have a shit life and that there's nothing for you to do. And I would imagine that's the same in Cornville, because they're going to have to drive to another city to get a good paying job, in my opinion. We've talked about Kayla being a prisoner, how if Lauren was driving truck, that Kayla would be a prisoner and Roy would go check on her. Thinking about it now, I don't think Roy's going to go check on her. I think Lauren would have Roy go check on his trailer and make sure that the door's not open, the windows aren't open. The sad part is he would be relying on Kayla to clean and to take care of the dogs and to hide should Roy ever come in the trailer. So she's a prisoner. Now Lauren, he's getting his jollies off. Likely against this girl's will some of the time, but she's going along with it because she's scared. Her parents are nowhere to be seen. She's in a strange place. Definitely regretting her decision, leaving her rich house to go to this redneck BFE location where she has nothing, probably the same clothes over and over. Lauren would start his anger and his abuse and his rage, and when he used her up and she didn't want to deal with it anymore and he had sex, he would try to go out and find a real woman because now he's experienced it. And now he wants to have it with as many people as possible. Some of us were like that, especially guys. You have it with one, the next thing you know, you're in triple digits and you're looking back at your life going, what the fuck? Lauren would freak out. He'd be like, I have exorcised the demon. It is time to go out and find another woman. Now, when Lauren wants something, he's going to push it. He's going to go, go, go. And there would be a woman somewhere at some bar that would give in. Probably laugh, like I said, when she saw his crooked, broken dink, just trying to interject some humor because it's about to get dark. He would forsake Kayla. He would either forget all about her, leave her at home, locked in there, her hair mussed up, dirty, having to go to the bathroom outside, sweating, living under an oscillating fan. Just horrible. Dog shit in the house because she can't take them out. Imagine that existence. Barely any food. You're eating bologna and ham. That's what Lauren would do. Lauren would go out and get another woman. And he would bring that woman home. And he would try to come up with some kind of, oh, this is so-and-so's niece, they died, and I'm the guardian, or I'm watching over her, she's my niece, she's my cousin's friend, and they're out of town. I think any woman would be able to spot a prisoner, or at least look at the girl and go, why is your hair mussed up? Why do you look so dirty? Why are you so scared? But a woman who would have sex with Lauren would probably be a druggie or something of that nature. When that new woman wasn't there, and because sex would be new to Lauren, if he could get it up, if he could perform, he'd be wanting to have sex with Kayla. She would become, again, his masturbatory sleeve. No love, no caring, just, I want sex, give it to me. Kayla would end up being around 14 or 15, and they would have totally, her parents would be freaking out, she'd be on the news, but eventually it would die down, and you'd have an Amanda Berry situation. Lauren would stop using condoms, Kayla would have had a couple babies. I just think it would be real bad. So what does she do? How's she going to escape? If she wanted to leave, Lauren would be like, well, you know, you got to get your own money. You got to find a way to escape. You know, you got to find your own ride back. And I don't think a young girl like that is going to risk it. She's going to weigh her options. Maybe Lauren is bold enough to bring her to Tony's because he doesn't want to leave her home alone because there's some situation going on. So he takes her to Tony's, gives a bullshit lie. Tony's wife would spot it a mile away. Tony would probably say, look, sweetheart, let's just not get involved. It's Lauren. I don't want anything to do with him. She would bitch and complain and talk about what a piece of shit Lauren is. But I think, in my opinion, no cops would be called. I'm sure Cornville residents don't want to have anything to do with the police. So now Tony knows. Eventually Roy would know because Lauren would need somebody to take care of her. Roy would know. Roy doesn't sound like the best person. He sounds like he might be the smarter of the two because he's constantly telling Lauren these women aren't real. But he also seems like the kind of guy he doesn't want any trouble with the police. So now Roy knows. Roy can't keep his mouth shut because Lauren can't keep his mouth shut, and some of Roy's friends know. and they see that as an exploitable situation. Lauren, we're going to tell somebody. This has happened. These are real stories. Lauren, we're going to tell somebody. You either pay us or you let us hit that. It's dark. I warned you. Lauren, not giving a crap about her anymore because he's getting sniz on the reg, as Snot said on American Dad. He doesn't need her anymore. Hey, and this would occupy her. This would give her something to do, and Lauren could make a little money. We'll give you some money, man. Just let us do it. And terrified, Kayla, who's been abused, mentally broken down, might be forced to go through with it. Because it's happened before in these small redneck towns with these small redneck people and simple-minded morons like Lauren who see her as a way to make money. She would turn to drugs or alcohol to deal with it. It's something very common, something you see in these stories. They get hooked on pills or heroin. Heroin's a massive problem here in Kentucky. The kingpin of Midwest heroin lives in the city that I work. And I almost moved on the same street when I was desperate. And I saw some things, women standing on a street corner on this suburban street where cops don't go there. Bullet hole. I'm not making this up. I may go over there and take some pictures. I don't know if they've cleaned it up, but I doubt it. No cop wants to go over there. Nobody. Something crossing or landing. I can't remember. Anyway, moving on. It exists. So Kayla becomes this drugged up dime store prostitute for Lauren's friends. Lauren wouldn't care. Lauren loves then loathes, and he loved Kayla, got what he wanted, and then he moved on. What is Kayla going to do to get out of there? How's she going to get home? She's not getting any of that money. Well, I'll buy you some good stuff, This is just to help pay the rent, Kayla. We need help here. I'm out there driving truck, and I got all these bills. And you got a place to stay, you're safe, ain't nobody gonna hurt you because he doesn't understand that what he's doing would hurt a child. I told you my dad was the manager of social services, and he would come home and sometimes he would try to hide it. He would go back in his room with my mom, and you could hear my dad crying because of the situations he was helping people get out of and just dealing with. And when you get in the sticks, places like Cornville, they're everywhere in eastern Kentucky, and some in western Kentucky, mostly eastern Kentucky. You see them, those inbred families and things like that are on the specials. That's eastern Kentucky, western West Virginia. Babies, having babies, being sold as prostitutes, abused. And once Lauren becomes desensitized to something, sorry about that, it's not going to bother him. And as I said, he's used Kayla up. So he's supplying her with the drugs that are helping her try to forget this situation. Lauren wouldn't understand that for decades once Kayla got out of there, because I think when she got old enough, she would escape. She'd learn how to play the game, and she might even be craftier before then, about 16, 17. She'd forget. Because if she looked around, if they ever went out, which they might, because Lauren didn't want to leave her at home now that all those people know about her, she would go out with him, or maybe he was looking for new clients, who knows. She would go out with him. She'd look around and see other girls her age and be like, just see what they were like, what they were doing. But back to what we were talking about. For decades after this, she'd be asking, did I put myself in that situation? Did I do that to myself? Did I get on drugs? I'm a horrible person for getting on drugs. I put my parents through all of that. This is what she's thinking. Blaming herself for everything, trying to figure out what happened. Lauren and his, I can't even figure out what happened. I wasn't right in my head at the time. Imagine her, Lauren. You didn't get food and you did this. This is a girl that was forced into this life. And this is a realistic situation. She would be traumatized for life, reunited with her parents. Her parents they would probably be grateful she was back. But then after a while, they would blame her. Why did you leave, Kayla? Why did you do this? You did this to yourself. I think that would eventually happen. It happens a lot. Victim blaming. Lauren would blame the victim. Well, I didn't make her come along. She would tell them, I think, maybe, that Lauren was the culprit. I doubt she would tell them she was a prostitute. I mean, how do you say that to your parents? Well, I was ragged out. Now I got kids. I didn't mean that. I'm just saying, like, how do you, I was using an extreme. Like, what are you going to tell your parents? Where'd you get those kids from? Well, I thought he loved me. Not knowing that the kids probably had different fathers. It's a terrible, terrible thing that happens in this world by people who just don't care. They want to satisfy their own needs. They may not even know that they have those needs. And it's going to happen anyway. I don't know exactly what would happen. I don't know if Lauren would ever do that, or he would be scared and drop her off. What does Lauren care more about? His safety? His going to jail? Or Kayla's safety? He does not want to go to jail, and he would do anything not to go to jail. He would do anything to protect himself, to maintain whatever crap lifestyle he's got going on. The other people would be threatening, you know, if she says anything, Lauren, it's on you. So he'd be threatening her, making deals. I'll drop you off, but you tell him you don't remember my name. You tell him my name is something else. You don't tell him where I'm at. Tell him we went to Nashville. There isn't a clean way for her to get out. And I think she would figure it out. Like, this guy's never going to let me leave. I'm always going to be a prisoner. This doesn't end well. No matter what happens, this doesn't end well. If she's kept as a prisoner in his trailer for a long time, if she's prostituted out to people because Lauren wants the money and he's got a new meth head, crackhead, because even Roy found meth head crackheads, people that were on his level, someone willing to accept someone else who's in the same lifestyle. What I think, Lauren would go to probation and parole, and I think if they asked him, do you have a girlfriend? Well, yeah, you know, she's 22, or knowing Lauren, she's 18, that would be a red flag. Like, no 18-year-old girl is going to go out with you, Mr. Armstrong. There's no way this ends positive. Not a chance. At no point does this end positively. So Kayla going there, going to Cornville, in that situation, if you look up human trafficking stories, you'll see that this is a possibility. Something we discussed in psychology. It's not Stockholm Syndrome, it's something else, where they blame themselves, they put themselves in the situation, they're going to make the best of it, they're going to win. Think about that. You consider tolerating what happened. You consider surviving what happened as a win while you're doing it. Not getting out safely, but that's a win for you. There are so many more dark things, and I'll probably make a part 2 video at some point. Kayla would have been in a terrible situation. Either his child bride or even worse. That's my very dark video for today. I love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hang on, I can't even catch my breath. Hang on.